Shirley here with Sirius Taurus Moon. This is Jupiter, our moon day. And we had an eclipse with the moon ruling over Jupiter and in Mercury sign. And we had one airport in Dublin that was evacuated due to a security notice. Another, by the way, taxi strike in Israel. There was a taxi strike in Israel in Ben Gurion Airport. And a massive cyber attack. For which airport it was the cyber attack? Several airports in Europe. Heathrow, Brussels, and more terminals. So we had airport chaos. Now, to be honest, it is actually good news because the yachts around this month have Pearl Harbor level of okay, it's Pearl Harbor level of dumbfuckery, and there was so many energies of mass death yesterday. I know you're gonna be like, your country is doing a genocide. Of course, you think mass death all the time, but but no, there was something very particular about yesterday. Because of the opposition to the Saturn Neptune. Saturn Neptune is mass death, but this one seemed. Oh, Neptune. That's the thing. Because let's bring the episode about Neptune. Because another facet of Neptune is like mass death and evasion of mass death at the same time. Because Dublin was supposed to be, I guess, a mass death aviation situation that was avoided. Now, because a lot of people are going to talk about social engineering, but as an astrologer, even those that do social engineering have to surrender the results. So perhaps they planned a complete false flag, because with eclipses they do those rituals. It is not impossible that they planned. Oh, this is still processing. Okay, it is not impossible that they planned a complete false flag, and it fell flat. It's like, oh my God, people are actually doing their jobs. That's damn. But this was this big chaos with the flights in all of Europe. And I saw a beautiful, beautiful picture of somebody that lives next to the airport in Israel. And he was, yes, he was filming a plane that is flying above the gigantic sun. All those things happened yesterday. So far, no Pearl Harbor, but definitely aviation. And I was like, why aviation? Very simple. Saturn is in the sign of aviation. Okay, and Pisces, I know it is more maritime, but it's also traveling, and it's also global stuff. And Jupiter that rules it in Cancer, which means the moon is ruling over Jupiter, which is classic aviation. Now let's take a look at the news. Oh, the Palestine received an embassy status from, I think, UK. And let's see if we have news, like news. People trying to target individuals. By now, I'm like, yeah, people that are sent to target an individual are basically sent to arrange their own death. Let's take a look at news. Can we have like news? Okay, by the way, you might be happy. China threatened a parliament member. How do I even translate that? They told them to shatter into pieces. Um, I don't know if it's an Israeli parliament. What parliament? Anybody knows what's up with Taiwan? Anyway, um, yeah. Oh my God, it's an Israeli parliament of a party that like they some Israeli parliament member met last week with the Taiwan president in Taipei, and China said he violated the One China principle and intervened with their internal affairs. And it added if he will not be restrained, he will, this time they say, fall into basically is this. And they wrote it on Facebook. It's the Chinese embassy in Israel. They wanted to say he will fall and crash into pieces. That's a very I don't know. It looks kind of vague. Like I was thinking Taiwan because the word was Pearl Harbor, and then it's like I know that somebody needs to trigger NATO's Article 5, and it's probably not going to be China because they can't. You know, it took Russia anyway. Article 4, Article 5. Um, MUN will be MUN anyway. So now they put an Israeli guy in Taiwan, and that parliament member said Taiwan is a true friend of Israel and of the people in Israel. This is gonna be so problematic for the Taiwanese that I can't even. I mean, the Taiwanese need friends. Israel needs friends. Political analogies, political analogies. By the way, Spain is on the verge of civil war again. It's civil war o'clock. Um, and yeah, but the very detailed implications. Oh, this is 80 years. Ooh, to the victory of the public resistance of China against the Japanese aggression and the worldly anti-fascist war um, as the 80th day of the return of Taiwan to China. Now 80 is usually, Uranus is kind of like almost returning. So the sovereignty of China over Taiwan. Don't make me like to cry independence for Taiwan is to divide the country. Supporting independence for Taiwan. Now let me Did China acknowledge Palestine? I mean, is that what it's all about? Everybody divorcing everybody. Texas. Um, mm, 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 mm. Well, how did they manage to put Bibi in? So yeah, Israel is like trying to have friends. And China is threatening its parliament members. I mean, what can Israel do? It blew up the entire Houthi government because it violated its sovereignty. I mean, what can Israel say? I mean, it's litigated for doing a genocide in Gaza. Practically any country that Israel will meet right now could have a country that would want to blow up the parliament member over that, and there's nothing much Israel can say in return. So, yes, Israel has yet another diplomatic blasphemy. Because why not? Why is it so local? Oh, it's the Jewish New Year. Um, can we have like international news, world news? Iran is afraid of the returning of the sanctions. I did not know that they went away. Okay. Oh, there's Expo 2025 in Osaka. Let's see if there is more. Over 200 people arrested in Philippine anti-corruption protests. So the Philippines is on the news. Um, okay. Canada arrested some guy they claim to be a terrorist. Mainly kind of people discussing the aftermath of recognizing Palestine. Israeli army, but this is two days ago already. So Israel was conquering Gaza City. That happened before the eclipse. Oh, they say Trump says that 40 um, hostages, Israeli hostages, um, are dead because of the Israel invasion, and they posted their pictures. But this is 2 days ago. Yes, I remember. I was on the bus and somebody on the phone said that. But that is North Korea's Kim. They literally called him Kim. Open to Trump talks North Korea's Kim open to Trump talks if the US drops denuclearization demands. So they basically don't want to drop the. I'm sorry, don't want. They don't want to drop the bomb. Like if you agree to remove the dropping the bomb, can we drop the dropping the bombs? No, not drop the dropping the bombs. So just dropping the bombs. Like. um, and now I know a lot of people will say that Kim Jong Un is not a rational player. Anybody has that. Now he's on Epstein list song playing in their head right now. You're not imagining. Israel attack on Yemeni newspaper was second deadliest on journalists ever. Now, here's the thing. Mercury journalism rules over the 12th house of Israel, and it's on Aldebaran. Like, it's almost a declaration. Killing journalists from the state of Israel, strategy-wise, is almost like vidu hariga, which means to make sure somebody is dead for the country's national security. Journalism, 12th house. 12th house is something people need to do charity for. Okay, it's house of hidden enemies, but it's not house of, how should I say that? Like, because it is ruled by journalism, then how should I say that? That's the last thing that Israel wants to be worldly known for. And I think when I did Peter R. de Vries assassination, I looked at the cases of assassinations of journalists before I attended to political assassination prevention, and I looked at the various cases because I wanted to see the pattern that happened for Peter happened for like women that left abusive relationships, and I wanted to see the patterns. And there's another added layer with politicians. I'm not going to talk about this now. Anyway, elegantly dissolving the topic at hand. But it was written and it was live. Spirit of Matter has this Live With Me episode. And I was like, oh, Israel is the #1 country assassinating journalists. That was before 7th October. And that was... Yeah. And so now Israel does it again. World News in brief. Executions surge in Iran. Nuclear test threat. Burkina Faso. Okay, but this is 3 weeks ago. Again, protests in the Philippines. Trump asked if US would defend Europe after Russian airspace. Oh my god. I will do NATO news in a minute. What happened? Is it something new? Netanyahu rejects recognition of Palestinian state. I don't... I don't have a comparison for that because you can't come anyway. uh, a spectacular day's journey into night for Team World. A 2 years old lives alone for days on junk food after a mother death in China. Ouch. How did it get junk food? And days, it means that he will already begin to smell his mom. That sounds like a satanic ritual, but unorchestrated, or is it orchestrated? Like, yikes. And you know, China, they watch everything. I was told about people that people cannot walk in the street in China without being surveilled, but they surveil like with the target individual stuff. Okay, people recognize Palestinian state. Zelensky accuses allies of wasting time as he prepares for Trump meeting. Half the world, only a quarter of the news. Okay, it's 2 weeks ago, one day. I'm not an expert on the sports like issue. For as far as I'm concerned, mundane astrology is like no mass death and no false flag on the courtroom. Then everything's fine, and um, refile it in dignified manner. Court also trumps whatever. Okay, I guess I'll have to look at that. Court also trumps defamation plea against the New York Times. Okay. Lebanon says 4 U.S. citizens killed, including 3 children in Israel drone strike. Israel seems to not be able to drop a bomb without killing a couple of children. I don't know if it's intentional or it just happens like that. Israel has not been known to be able to save the children. Um, I don't know if that's strategic. Um, one day. U.S. demands that media sign 10-page agreement to access military information. U.S., your Navy soldiers are on TikTok complaining about their food that causes erectile dysfunction. I don't think that's gonna. China extends social media sanctions to include Weibo, Kuaishu. Well, China has moved to pigeons. I'm sorry, China is killing pigeons. Oh god. Thousands evacuated after World War II bomb discovered in Hong Kong. This is so nostalgic. I mean, not really, but now Hong Kong, it's a megalithic city. Nothing, I need to meditate on that. Saturn ruling over Pluto, historical bombs. Uranus in the city, discovery. That is so interesting. Russia-funded fake news network aimed to disrupt European elections. I don't think they're gonna make it because Europeans are censoring everything. Nobody. There aren't. They have to have a news to. Russia to seize assets of international Satanists. That is so in the spirit of Baphomet. I mean, I said that a year ago, I think. Moscow has put. I'm sorry, I cannot give you all the satire. I mean, everybody knows it's satirical, but I can't talk. I can't say it. You know this brain meme where it looks like the entire galaxy is lit. So Shirley saying I can't say it is the entire galaxy. If you watched Water Expands Upon Cooling, you understand. Moscow has put several non-existent. There's going to be probably a documentary. If there's ever going to be a documentary about my channel, it's probably going to be an Israeli broadcaster during the 2-3 years of war until she says the word genocide. Oh, shit, they were probably, they were scared, they were this, they were cowards, they were that. That Israeli broadcaster also talked about political assassination prevention, cold cases, and the use of technology to target and surveil people, use of occultists in spirit and in matter, explaining the technologies and explaining the medical influences of, and they were afraid to say the word genocide for 3 years. Yes. Okay. Moscow put several non-existent organization has put several I'm sorry, I need to read that again. Moscow has put several non-existent organizations on the blacklist of terrorists and extremists. Again, Moscow has put several non-existent organizations on the blacklist. So why does anybody, in recent years, including the international LGBT movement and the anti-Russian separatist movement, so they say they don't exist. It added that it termed international Satanism movement to a financial blacklist. It's such a satanic move, enabling it to freeze the assets of alleged members even if they have no criminal record. But this is exactly what Baphomet does. Moscow has put several. Okay. Such groups are vaguely defined under Russian law. Prosecutors can accuse anyone of being a member. Usually how it works. giving Moscow a free hand to pursue political opponents, according to critics. I mean, abolish satanic abuse. They do ritual abuse for assets, so that basically Russia's Supreme Court declared the international Satanism movement extremist in July after prosecutors accused its members of desecrating Orthodox Christian churches and spreading hatred. The movement is closely linked to a manifestation of radical nationalism and neo-Nazism. It's actually true. Russia's prosecutor general said in a statement in July, I cannot give you those jobs. I'm sorry. Patriarch Kirill, influential head of Russian Orthodox Church, voiced support for the ban, accusing Satanists of conducting malign rituals. They put quote unquote on rituals, so they don't. Anyway, and recruiting young people. Think about it, our soldiers are ready to give their lives for values that are clearly being trampled upon by Satanists. Satanism refers to any ideology or religion that venerates Satan, a supernatural entity in Abrahamic religions who embodies evil. That's actually not the definition of Baphomet, but according to the Christians, everything is so. And the rituals are indeed horrid. It is not known how many people adhere to Satanism worldwide or in Russia. Yes. Anyway, Trudy Verstegen um, probably has a list of a few. I'm not sure that they would like to review it. um, mm, 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 At least 3 killed in Russian strike on Ukraine 6 hours ago. Trump believes he should get a Nobel Prize. Okay. Anything more? Oh, yes, the Russians invaded Estonia as well, but I talked about this. But said the response is not written Article 5 yet. Okay, Pakistan is on the news. I'm just reading the last 48 hours. Gaza protests. Okay, that's what on the news. If I find any actual news, I will, I will let you know. But so far, no Pearl Harbor. Um, and we will need to wait to see what will Mars do um, while it squares Pluto from Scorpio. And yeah, so it seems like no false flag for now, no new false flag for now. AI generated minister makes debut in Albanian parliament. I told you Albania is interesting. The opposition banged their tables in protest as the so-called state minister for artificial intelligence named Dila appeared in front of the parliament. That happened on Friday. And I think this is the first country that tries to openly embed AI. And the avatar, who is a woman wearing traditional Albanian dress, told the minister presidents, "I'm not here to replace people but to help them. It's the American, we are the government, we are here to help. True, I have no citizenship, but I have no personal ambitions or interests either. I assure you that I embody such values as strictly as every human colleague, maybe even more." She gaslights perfectly. Opposite accepted. Opposition lawmakers objected, arguing the move was unconstitutional as the bot is not human, does not hold Albanian nationality, and could lead to more corruption. Yes, the bot says the Constitution speaks of institutions at the people's service. It doesn't speak of chromosomes, of flesh or blood. Well, there was a discussion about clone people. It speaks of duties, accountability, transparency, non-discriminatory service. That moment where inclusivity has to include AI. Socialist Mr. Rama, who won a fourth term in office in May, argued that the bot will help the government work faster with full transparency. And the nation's technological innovation as government um, works towards. We also have such thing in Israel, a non-human form of government members in the form of puppets. And we've been inclusive for decades. I managed to not crack down. I feel professional. Um, so I said that they're going to top Israel when I did Albania chart. Um, I guess women that call for inclusivity do need to. Women are always more included after industrial revolutions. And and this one gets to be a prime minister. I think this was the, most exciting news. Now, everybody wants to hear about NATO. Is it Article 5 yet? NATO news? Yeah, I need to charge my phone. NATO news. Okay. Oh. John Duncan, the Briton who worked at NATO, begins testimony in The Hague. 6 hours ago. I need my AC, but I also need to charge my phone. So I literally sit with my face into the AC. Either it's hot in here or I am going into my premenopause. Anyway, that's something you won't hear Albanian Prime Minister saying, even though she's a woman. Defense witness for Hashim Tasi. Okay. Okay, that is interesting. I'll just keep it open and keep following this. Because there are litigations involving NATO news. NATO news. Wow, oh my gosh, it is so hot. Anyway. Baltic Sea, Estonia. Okay, two-peer nuclear challenge. Let's talk some nuclear stuff. It's 5 p.m. The sun is out. And it is hot as if it is the middle of summer. The rise of China as a nuclear peer to the US. I'm going to read it out again. The rise of China as a nuclear peer to the US amid deepening strategic ties with Russia poses unprecedented two-peer challenge to NATO. Aderito Vicente examines how this shifting landscape endangers alliance cohesion. He argues for fundamental rethinking of Europe's deterrence and defense posture. You see what damage the Nazis inflicted. They were like an A-bomb because 84 years later we are still dealing with the radiation. Global nuclear order is changing. China's emergence. I stand my truth about what I said they were trying, Like you can see the social engineering. China's emergence as a second nuclear peer to the US once designed for, so U.S. nuclear policy was designed for bipolar rivalry with Moscow, now has to contend with Moscow and China. Meanwhile, North Korea. Two-front nuclear dynamic. Friendship without limits. Partnership between Beijing and Moscow. It's like, this is bad and friends with benefits. What friendship without limits? uh, Meanwhile, Europe and Indo-Pacific and Russia has a nuclear plant in invested in dollars in Turkey, which is a NATO ally. This scenario forces reevaluation of how alliances allocate resources, prioritize threats, and plan for mobilization and synchronization. Okay. Tripolar nuclear order and the end of arms control. Alaska summit with Trump and Putin. Escalate to de-escalate Russia strategy. No first use policy of nuclear bombs, yes. 100 joint exercises in the past 15 years. 100, at least 100 A-bombs dropped. In the past decade and a half. I understand why people said the Me Too went too far. So, a European nuclear awakening. Now we have France. Yeah, everybody knows bingo nuclear bombs. Brussels. Um, Albania. Let's do it. Guessing game. Guessing game. Um, okay. That was actually interesting. Russia denies violating NATO airspace. Okay. NATO aircrew reinforce rescue readiness in Lithuanian-led exercise. That's it. I think we're no new news. Meanwhile, we're not going into full-blown World War. But then again, it's still the weekend. And Monday is tomorrow? No, it is Monday. Okay, so far no Pearl Harbor. Perhaps there was supposed to be, but it fell flat. I don't know. And No world war for the time being. Okay? It's peaceful.